Hi Stampin' friends, it's Chris Slogar from BuckeyeInklings.com, and today I want to show you how to make this cute little box. It's sort of a roll-up box. It's an origami box. It has this great pentagon shape on the end, also the little triangle that's kind of like an end cap to hold the contents in. Really cool, and it just comes from an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. Here I have it in white, stamped and scored and everything. I got this idea from Brigitte Kyling, another demonstrator in Europe. So love this idea. She had done a Christmas box, and you can see from this 8.5 by 11 sheet, once the scores and folds are in place, just wraps up into this box. Okay, and it can hold something pretty sizable. What I have in mind, I needed like a box for, or some kind of presentation for some embellishments. I have 2 rolls of twine here, and that just fit kind of perfectly. So we're gonna make the red one, and I already have a sheet of 8.5 by 11 real red cardstock stamped with real red hearts from that heartfelt set. And we're going to put the 8.5 inch side up along the ruled edge at the top of my scoring tool. You can use your trimmer scorer for this. And we're going to score in this direction at 2 inches from each end. So we're at 2 inches here and 6.5, right? Because that would be 2 inches from the other end. All right, we're going to turn it. Now for these crosswise turns, the crosswise scores, they're not all going to go full length, but we will start with the ones that do go full length, okay? And those are the ones at 1.5 and 3, and then there are going to be 2 scores in here, one at 4.25, one at 6 3/4 that are only going to go between these score lines. So let's skip those for a moment, and we'll do the ones at 8 and 9.5. Okay, so you can take this to your trimmer scorer, or what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mark, okay, because you can't really see where 4.25 is down here to start. I'm just going to fold that edge back and mark this with a little, a light impression at 4.25 and 6 3/4. And then when I open this up, I can score between the score lines at 4.25 and 6 3/4. All right, while I'm on the scoring tool, I also need to make a mark along each long edge at 5.5 inches, okay? I just need a little impression there to use later when I'm making my diagonal scores. All right, so as I'm sure you can imagine from what you saw, you need a certain amount of diagonal scoring. We're actually going to make a zigzag along this edge. All right, so let me get out. I'm just going to use my stylus and a straight edge against the pierce mat. And from that second score line at 3 inches, I'm going to connect the end point of that to this intersection. Okay, this is the score line at 4.25 that didn't go through. And I'm going to connect those points. And then remember, I made that little impression at 5.5. I'm going to connect that back to that same intersection. Okay, this is making those triangle shapes along the edge of our box. Going from that impression again to the next intersection. Okay, this is the line at 6 3/4 that didn't go through. And then this is our line at 8, and we're going from the end point to that intersection connecting. Okay, so we've made a zigzag along here, and we need to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going from the end point to the intersection. It's the intersection that's kind of like a dead end there. All right, and then from the impression back to that intersection, from the impression to the next intersection, and then end point and back to that intersection. Okay, so that's all the scoring, and now we're going to make the magic happen. And this is the tricky part, but I would say it's not hard. It's just You just have to get used to what you need to do here. We're cutting off the very end rectangle on each of the 4 corners. And then we will start burnishing. I hope you can see the score lines. All right, so we are going to, we can fold in the 2-inch sections here at the ends, or the long direction, and we're going to burnish these up to the score that goes full length. Don't try to burnish that next one, or you might make a fold through the triangle that we don't want. Okay, we're just gonna do the first one and the full length one on the next side as well. And then the way I find this easiest is, okay, with the outside down, I'm folding in this end, like the last strip. Here's where the zigzag is. And here's my diagonal. And I'm holding down this whole section from this diagonal back to here and making this crease. I think this is the easiest way to get this going. And then the next fold we're going to also burnish, and we're just trying to get those diagonals. And then at the end here again, you can kind of hold this whole trapezoid down and force that last fold. Okay, and that gets you the shape you want. Okay, let me show you that again on the other side. It's the same. So fold in that long flap. Here's the trapezoid up to the first diagonal, and we're just going to fold up against that diagonal and then fold the next diagonal and follow on down the line. When we get to the end one again, to me, the easiest way to fold these end ones is just to hold this whole trapezoid in place and force the paper back on itself. All right, so at this point, I kind of decide which end I want to be my flap, and I corner round the flap. It wouldn't hurt to corner around both, but I just corner around the one that's going to be on the outside. And as you see, this will naturally kind of pop into that shape that we wanted. Okay. So there we have it. Let me put in my twine. I have just that natural linen thread and some white baker's twine, and fold this up around it. It's kind of perfect size for those items. And there you see that beautiful end. I don't know, I just love the shapes here. Okay, let's see. I've got some white baker's twine, and I'm going to tie this shut. I'm gonna go around it twice. Leave a little longer tail, and then tie this off here. And then I'm decorating with these great doilies, the heart-shaped doilies. I have one in petal pink, and I'm gonna grab that. I've also pre-made a built-up piece here. This is the real red cut with the scallop punch, and then the designer paper cut with the smooth heart punch, and a little greeting from that same heartfelt set cut with a 1 1/4 inch circle punch. Okay, so let me assemble this all. This was very simple then. I just slid my bow over where I wanted it, and going to add a few dimensionals to the doily here and put this in place. And then a couple of dimensionals, or let's see, I'm down to the edge here. Let me just use the edge piece of my dimensionals and put that built up heart that I already made in place. Okay, so there you have it. That's that easy to make that really fun little shape and have a cute little box out of just one piece of cardstock. So thanks so much for checking out my project. If you need any of the products that you see here, please visit me at buckeyeinklings.com and use the Shop Now link. I'd greatly appreciate your help in the online store to keep me going to bring you videos. Thanks so much.